Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. That's Evan Veith. This is our Steve Sarkisian press conference reaction. Does this every time on a bye week, so don't be surprised. No players today, so we're getting this out pretty quickly. Some reactions to what Sarkisian talked about, kind of high-level stuff. Not much to go over from Sam Houston. Not much to talk about with Florida quite yet, but a little bit of, 1/3 of the way through the regular season, what's going on with the team talk. So we'll have a lot on here. We'll also have a lot on Inside Texas. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and go to the first link in the video description. That's where you can go to InsideTexas.com, subscribe for just $1. That'll get you access to the best Texas Longhorns website on the internet. And we'll also throw in a year access to the Athletic for just $1. But Evan, again, not a whole lot of talk about the Bearcats. Steve Sarkisian just kind of seems focused on getting to the bye week and going over some of the guys that are going over some of the things that his team needs to work on. But there was a good amount of discussion about the running back position, considering we haven't seen Trey Wisner and CJ Baxter over the course of the past few weeks, and maybe what's next for some of the guys waiting on carries behind them.
Yeah, over the last 3 weeks, it's been a steady stream of Jarrett Gibson, Christian Clark, James Simon. Baxter played one full game and then one snap of the next game. And Quintravion Wisner's been injured during that whole time. And that's something that Steve Sarkisian said, because of the way Quintravion Wisner operates, he's going to be fine heading into Florida. He can use this contact in the bye week to get his body back and be out of the rust. But yeah, he did say that they are looking to evaluate that position this week. That's something that they're going to take a closer look at, because there's obviously Wisner and Baxter as your top two for the team, but you probably want another guy in that backfield. You didn't have that against Ohio State to start the year. Now you've seen quite a few carries from Gibson, Clark, Simon. You've seen how they pass block. You've seen if they're keeping the ball off the ground, which Jarrett Gibson got better at over the last two games. So he definitely seemed confident in what he had and what Quintravion Wisner specifically is going to be health-wise when it comes to Florida. Pretty good kind of indicator of what we think it's going to be for when that game comes around for he and Baxter's health. But it's definitely something they're looking into for this game, because you want a third running back on this roster going into the SEC.
Yeah, we've seen what you can do when you only have two running backs and only 14 points.
Yeah.
So they need to figure that one out. And we saw good things from all those guys, especially in the past 2 weeks. James Simon had his great week against UTEP. Clark and Gibson found the end zone against Sam Houston State. So good news for all those different guys. Going back to the other side of the ball, the defense, the defensive back position was talked about a little bit by Sarkisian, and we saw a lot of fresh faces. I mean, we saw fresh faces all over. But Xavier Filsaime didn't play. We didn't get to see much of Kobe Black, if any at all. I think he was out as well. Cade Phillips, like no player saw more snaps than Cade Phillips, and I think he only saw 21.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where so many different guys in that defensive secondary got some action. Grayson Littleton started at corner.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah Williams played. Like, name your guy. So many different players saw a little bit of action, and gives Steve Sarkisian and Pete Kwiatkowski a little bit of a glimpse of maybe who they can use as conference play gets going in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had on my bingo card that Cade Phillips would have led the defense in snaps in week 4. And of course, it's an inferior opponent. It's a blowout game from pretty much the jump against Sam Houston. But yeah, he mentioned that this is going to be an important week for them because they just need to get healthy, right? Derek Williams is still kind of ramping up his snap count on the year. You still haven't seen him break into that 25 to 30 per game. Maybe that's not what his role will be this year, but you'd expect him to get there eventually. And then Kobe Black missed this game. I don't know if Xavier Filsaime got in the game or not, but
he was out too.
I think he was fully limited for this game. Warren Roberson didn't play, so that's your CB3, CB4, a backup safety. So you saw Jordan Johnson-Rebel get a lot of run these past 2 weeks. He's played really well in that time. Grayson Littleton getting a chance on the outside. So I think what this week is going to mean for the DBs is Sarkisian saying, I know who my true starters are, your Tafts, your McDonald's, your Muhammad's, but what do I want from the rest of that group? Is Wardell Mack an option in the slot with maybe Littleton playing some outside? Is Kobe Black's role going to expand with Jalen Gilbo maybe even going back inside a little bit? Who does he trust at safety after Taft and McDonald? Is that even a thing that he wants to do, take those guys off the field? Does he want 3 safeties out there? There's so much you can do with such a talented group that they have, and that's just going to be an interesting thing to see in SEC plays, how they use these guys. But he likes what it does for their health and just in general what the bye week can do for his team.
If you're looking for a home in the Austin area, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. Laura's a part of the elite Andy Allen team at Keller Williams Realty. She's helped Longhorns find their dream homes all over Central Texas. You can just ask our very own Ian Boyd, who moved from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Whether you're searching in Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, San Marcos, or even parts of the 254 or the 210, Laura has you covered. So call 512-784-0505, or you can email her at laura@andyallenteam.com. She's a Longhorn, a friend of Inside Texas, and the person you need to call to get your next home in Central Texas. Call Laura Baker today. Contact info is in the description.
We'd be missing something if we didn't mention Jelani McDonald going
Yeah.
up for that interception, making that play. Sarkisian called him a turnover machine, and he talked a lot about him on Saturday after the game, just mentioning like this is someone who I was thinking about this the other day. This is the type of player that Gary Patterson would have turned into an all-conference player. Just, a quarterback. It's not like Waco Connolly is a forgotten about school in the middle of a region nobody in Texas goes to. You drive by it every time you go to Dallas on I-35. But he's a quarterback. He's 6'2", 190-ish. Was an Oklahoma State commit, if I remember correctly. And he didn't have a position. And I remember going to like the All-American Bowl, and he's like, oh, I'll play corner. And he does it really well. There are a lot of people who left that because of COVID, but he was really good at corner. Shows up here. I think Jeff Choate thought he was going to end up being a linebacker, but they called him an athlete so they could take so many linebackers in his class. Then he goes to corner, as Sarkisian said. Then he kind of fiddles around with a bunch of different defensive back spots and has found a home at safety. And we saw him jump over a Sam Houston State Bearcat the other day, showcasing that athleticism. But we've also seen just the mental part of the game that Sarkisian emphasizes so much really develop for him.
Yeah, and I think what you said about McDonald and the moving around positions is so interesting because that was like a 5 linebacker class. If you're counting him and maybe Akana as one of those linebackers in there. And then he said that by the end of the year, going into that Washington game, it was kind of, he might play true cornerback, he might be a slot corner, and then they moved him to safety after that game. They felt that they needed someone to play over top. And you didn't think of McDonald as the high-flying, go-get-the-ball kind of guy coming into the year, but he got up on that play, on that interception. So you may have, as our own Eric Nalene's been saying on Twitter a lot, you may just have a 3-year player in Jelani McDonald because he's just so good as a safety. And you might have the best safety duo in the country with Taft and McDonald right now. And that's something we thought maybe could happen, but it almost feels like a definitely that this is one of the top 2 to 3 in the SEC right now.
And it's one of those things. I think he was definitely on the podium for the long jump in 3A or 4A. You see that athleticism going up instead of on a y-axis instead of an x-axis on that one. But it is the bye week. This is the only time we're going to get to talk to Steve Sarkisian here in Austin. I think he'll be on the SEC Coaches Teleconference on Wednesday. That's only 10 minutes. Not going to get a lot there. Talked a lot about what he may be wanting to do this bye week, and we'll get to like the couch part of the bye week soon. But he talked a little bit about some of the things that he wants to look at over his team and, checking personnel, checking guys they trust to see some snaps. But the main highlight to us was, hey, there are too many penalties for his liking.
Yeah, and he mentioned that is something he maybe needed to accept a little earlier with younger players on your team. Your offense is so young when you think about it. With Wingo and Livingston as 2 starters who are just in their second year, you have Arch Manning in his first real time starting a lot of new faces on the offensive line. Trevor Gooseby's still young. He's been great, but he's still a young player on this team. So Sark definitely wants that to be nailed down by the end of this week. That's something that can't be a problem going to SEC play if your offense is already not really hitting that next gear quite yet. So he definitely mentioned that he's going to find things to tweak with on both sides of the ball, that some things are working better that need to be incorporated more. Some things aren't working as well that need to be incorporated or taken away, I guess would be the what he's looking for. And we saw that a little bit with the run game on Saturday where he's focusing more on those, just getting the ball inside, getting the blocks to be an easier spot for his interior offensive linemen and his tight ends. I think that's something that they're going to focus on even more over the bye week, maybe passing concepts that he's looking to more incorporate against Florida because this Florida team's got a great defensive front and they're going to attack the quarterback and attack this offensive line.
One of the things that he even mentioned was, even with the penalties, and there were 7 or 8, I think, against Sam Houston State, like 2 of them were on Connor Robertson, and that was, I think, his first start. And we've seen him get a bunch of action in the past, but a first start, still a first start. And he, had a hold, had a false start. You've seen that plenty with just how Texas does its cadences pre-snap. Aside from that, decent game. And that helps build that depth a little bit, helps you feel a little bit more confident there. But you remove, those 2 and you're looking around and you see, special teams and, a holding penalty or 2. And when you throw so many players into the game, you expect that. So I feel like there was an improvement in that area, especially from the frontline guys. But, the best improvement you can make when it comes to penalties is to have 0 overall. But you know what? Maybe you should try committing penalties because that's a good defense apparently in the SEC. We'll get into that as we get into the month of October. But thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and go to that first link in our description. It is how you subscribe to Inside Texas. Join the best Texas Longhorns community. It will just for $1, and we'll even throw in a year-long subscription to The Athletic with it. So Evan, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.